Must be happy somebody would respond anytime.
There we go. I tried to get them to send me email and they laughed at me. What? Not public email to my, I said, hey, could you just send me an email?
You can see why they laugh.
What? This phone is small, anyway. I'm gonna keep pushing that. I'm gonna keep pushing that anyway. I'm gonna FaceTime this. Interesting.
Here we go. You got it? We're live with video.
All right.
And
All
sound.
right, good deal.
All right, today is Tuesday, January 6th, 2026. This is a Personnel, Finance, and Auxiliary Services Committee meeting. There is a possibility that a quorum of the full membership of the Board of Education may be in attendance at board committee meetings. There will be no full board action taken at any board committee meeting. Only members of the committee may vote on any items on the agenda. A live broadcast will be streamed on the school district's YouTube page. To watch the recorded meeting, please visit the School District of Menominee Falls YouTube site. The time is 5:34, and we are at the Village Hall Upper Level Conference Room, 3344 and 45, located at W156 and 8480 Pilgrim Road in Menominee Falls. Was this meeting properly posted?
Yes.
Thank you. And at this time, I am seeking a motion to approve the minutes from the December 15th Personnel, Finance, and Auxiliary Services Committee meeting.
A motion.
I'll second. Okay, I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. All right, passes unanimously. All right, and then there is one discussion item on the agenda tonight, and that is the district office relocation.
Yeah, I'd like to open up with just a general statement. Just some thanks to a lot of the group around this table has been involved in detailed work, including Caitlin and myself, but just about everybody at this end of the table has been involved in detailed meetings over both Christmas break and New Year's break. I mean, we've been checking, so really do appreciate that from our partners from UA, VGS, our internal staff, all of our staff, Building Solutions. So thank you for that. Now the reasons for all of that extra work and for this meeting is the state did some unprecedented things this year, unfortunately, not just for this district, but for all districts in the state. So I'm not gonna speak to the whole state issue because that's not my issue or my concern or our governance. I'll just speak to this district. I mean, effectively, what has happened since the annual meeting is a difference of $1.5 million that we didn't know about at the annual meeting, that we know about now, less. And there's a couple different reasons for that. One of the big reasons is underfunding special education. Dollars, right? That's not the full reason, that's the bigger part of the reason. But that being said, the reason that we're here, the reason, I'm very thankful for all the extra efforts over break with all the staff here and our contractors and everybody here is because the annual meeting, we're supposed to be setting things and then we're good for the whole year. That's the way that it works. That's the way the system works. In this situation, there was such a substantial change. Like I said, we're not the only district dealing with this. This is how it affects us. So we started planning internally, meaning Caitlin and myself mostly, and then we brought in our outside partners going, we're moving this district office. What can we do to backfill and effectuate this change? And that's the solution. Those are the solutions we're bringing forward to the committee today and then to the board on Monday, is that we want to make up that 1.5 million from what the board has previously approved. I think it's the right move in order to bring us back to the annual meeting, right? We're going to talk through how we got there. We're going to give you a lot of detail of how we got there and what that means, and I'm sure there will be questions. I was over at BF today. There's been some work that's already been done there. So why don't we jump into it from there? I just wanted to give you the general overview. That's why we're here. Our recommendation is going to be scaling the project back so that we can make up the difference. The state, for their reasons, put 1.5 million more onto this district, we're gonna come back to the annual meeting by putting that money back in. I think that's my recommendation, that's the right move. Because it allows us to make sure that we're paying our staff, that we're back to where we were at the annual meeting, which was in a decent situation going into the next couple of years. So that's the big picture. Now we gotta give you the detail. I'll turn it over to a lot of people around this table. But if you have any questions, please just jump in. With that, I don't believe if you have any questions, just jump in. All right?
Perfect. I would love to start with intros. So we have partners from our construction management firm, BJS, our architects of EUA, and from our owner's rep building solutions. So maybe Teresa, you start, we'll just go down there.
And again, Teresa Ledzinski with F&P
Chris Coggins with BJS Project Executive.
Good to be here again. Kurt Wieglos, owner's rep.
Ryan Steenegg with BJS, Senior Project Manager.
All right, thank you. So, and Joel, sorry, Joel, Jeff. Go ahead, introduce yourselves, guys. You're important too.
Joel Weber, Director of Maintenance Operations.
Jeff Garden, Finance Manager.
So thank you everybody for being here again tonight. So all of the documents that we will go through are in front of you and are also attached on the exec content as well. So the first one I'm gonna pull up is the first, so you have your agenda, and then the next document in your packet has the pretty colored page with the School District of Menominee Falls District Office renovation. This is your first document related to the project. In the back of it, you'll see, if you flip it over, this is our approved project amount that the board reviewed on October 27th. So 3.953772. That was our project, our full scope of the district office renovation that with all of the information we knew at the time from the state, which was not this $1.5 million with less in revenue. So this was our approved project. This is a 37-page packet that we did not print because all the detail behind it, obviously there's a lot that goes into this just about $4 million project. So we didn't print that, it does exist, but this is where we started from. We're gonna move into a couple other documents that essentially are reduction in scope in a couple different ways. The first one, or the next one, starts with this picture that is just the back of Ben Franklin currently, which you might notice a difference from the last document we just looked at, is essentially the similar picture minus a canopy, minus landscaping. So it's kind of bare bonesing the outside of the project.
Yeah, this image does show, so currently along the back of Ben Franklin, there is that set of double doors that is currently an entrance exit that's not used other than emergency, and then there's a door that comes out of the existing training room. The windows along that south side are all proposed to be new, so right now that's all brick. So this was an option that we had looked at, well, you could strip back a lot of the canopy and the landscaping and a few other things, and that's what this would look like in that case. But existing condition, there's no windows there, so.
So that's the exterior. And then the next part of your packet here goes into, this is the essentially what we're calling the $3 million scope option. So the document you'll see next is the cost summary page. And we're rounding this 2.995 up, calling this the $4 million project amount. Again, this is kind of the same snapshot page as you saw in the last packet, where the project was approved. But where we'll spend some time is in the details of what's not included in the $3 million compared to the $4 million project. BJS folks, if you want to chime in.
So can you go back to the project cost summary
Sure.
and give some background to the board members? So just give you some context here. So the left column is the original budget, which if you look down to the bottom, it's the $3.9 million project, which was ultimately what we just talked about the previous document. So that was approved back in October. The middle column, that was a snapshot of, we took the bid documents from the architect Epstein Ewan and at the end of November, and we put it out on the street and took bids. So we took bids the second week of December. And the middle column represents kind of our pre-scope number. So we took bids and we took the highs and lows, and we didn't take the highs and lows on bid day. We just basically put some plugs in there. So we wanted to give an update to the school district on 12/19, and that's we took the full scope of everything, including everything for the project that was fully designed before we knew that there was going to be a reduction on the project. Bid it all out. We got bids. This is before we started scoping everybody. We gave a budget update on 12/19, and we had good news to basically represent that we were tracking under our original budget. And then at that point, we're like, well, we're gonna need to make a further pivot, right? So the further pivot would be the third column then.
So just to jump in, Chris, and I'm sorry to jump in there, but just to clarify for the board members here, that what essentially, and I'm just gonna restate in a different way, almost $500,000 in clawback was already determined just by going to bid, all right? But we knew that wasn't enough because the state took more than that. Sorry, Mr. Coggins?
Thank you for that. And then the third column represents it took our bid results, which is line 1 of the third column of the 2.5, and then we started going, hey, what are some cost saving options? And that is the list that we attached here, which was approximately, when we went through this list, it was $351,000 in potential savings that we as a team said, yes, let's make these cost reductions, which then ultimately got to a $2.9 million project. So if you go to the last page and we can kind of go through.
And just so to jump in there, when I was complimenting everybody at the start, that was the work over break. So the work over break got us to 2.9-ish million, and very close to 3 million. That was the work over break, just to give context for the board members. Mr. Coggins.
Yeah, so we started just by listing a bunch of ideas. So the first one that we discussed as a team and accepted was just remove the entire canopy from the main entry. So that was $160,000 savings. And then also as part of the we were carrying additional contingency for the mechanical, electrical, plumbing design build contractors. We said let's take that out. So that's $30,000 savings there too. So we listed a bunch of these items. Some we've taken, some we didn't. I'm just going to review the ones that we accepted to basically get down to a $2.9 million project. There was some locker bases and existing lockers that were removed from the school district already. So we took that out of our construction number because they already took care of it. There was exterior work. There was some concrete sidewalks that were part of the original budget. We're like, that's not necessary. That's a potential item that could be done further down the road. So we accepted that. We made some adjustments. So the base bid drawings included every office got a side light, or most offices got a door opening, and adjacent to the door opening there was a side light to get additional light into the middle of the office space from the exterior.
So it's like a window.
Yeah, like a side window, a side light. So we talked about removing the side lights from all offices. So there was a savings of $25,000 there. Whiteboards, there was a bunch of whiteboards. These are items that could be added to the project afterwards. So we're like, let's take those initial costs off. Whiteboards, there was a savings there of $9,000. There was some interior design work, some wall paneling on the conference space, the training room, and then the main entry. So we took that off, and then the exterior, for every exterior window, there's a sill, and we had solid surface, and we changed that to plastic laminate. So those are items right there. Another item we talked about, hard tile. The bathroom. So for the new bathrooms, there was some wall tile to be installed, and we said let's remove all wall tile and just have a tile on the ground. So that's that was a savings of $7,600. There are some adjustments. There was a corridor that really didn't need to be touched. So, and it was existing corridor, so we said, let's leave the ceiling tile as is. There was a savings there. And moving to the last page of the packet, going down, there was some plumbing changes, under 2,200. That was, changing out, laboratory batteries to manual, faucets. There was savings there. One of the bigger savings under electrical, under the new electrical design, the existing parking lot would get 6 new light poles. We said, let's pull that out because there's gonna be existing wall-mounted light fixtures along the building where we're putting those new openings in, those windows. We're gonna have a new kind of wall sconces on the wall that will illuminate the parking lot. So we said, hey, let's pull out those 6 light poles, and that was $61,000. Another item, we were carrying some miscellaneous patching of asphalt. We said we can do that down the road. Let's pull out 3/4 of it, but keep some in the project. And then the last item is the landscaping. Let's reduce the landscaping down. There's very, let's remove the landscaping. So those are ideas that we came up that equated to $351,000 in savings. So if you take the original bid documents, scopes that, the bids that we got, if you apply this savings of $351,000, going back to the project cost summary, that's how we started working, reducing the scope down to just south of a $3 million project, a $2.9 million project.
So part of the charge after that point, thank you, Mr. Coggins, from me, and was, I needed 1.5 million. Because that was the shortfall, that was what the state did to us. And so we took it a step further than that. So we took it a step further than that, and that's what we're gonna jump into right now. Like, how do we get to that sort of savings? And there is a way to get there and still make this happen. So we can get back to the annual meeting and backfill all of this, and that is my recommendation, is to use 1.5 million that was already approved by the board to be used for this, and keep it at 2.5 to allow us to get our budget back to where we were at the annual meeting. That's what it does. And why don't we jump into that part, alright?
Okay, so the next document is your big one, and we've got 2 big ones. One has a staple. One has a staple.
Right. We'll focus on the staple to start.
Teresa, do you wanna walk
Yeah,
us through?
I can take this off. So one of the things that became obvious as we're kind of going through and slicing and dicing and making kind of these deep cuts to things that are important, quite honestly, for a functioning office space was, you're stripping identity of the face of the district, right? So one of the things that was talked about is, can we phase the project in a way that we do a portion of the office first, to save the 1.5 million and come back in a second phase and complete the rest of the work and still be able to maintain some of that identity. So I think the first PDF that you're looking at here shows that exterior image of the back of the building, a much reduced canopy, so people still know, hey, this is the front entrance of the district office. But limiting some of that scope and some of that work, providing the exterior windows there. But in looking at the floor plan, sorry, let me back up. The site plan is shown there because there was some site work that was included that, quite honestly, is critical as a safety concern. There's ponding water and freezing water, so as people are walking out of that parking lot and walking across that sidewalk, there is water ponding there and freezing in the winter, and it's already low lighting, right? So
I'm gonna jump in there. I went out there today because everybody knows who lives in the falls that we have downpours today. So it's flooding out there today, right? It's flooding out there today. And so a lot of these things on the outside, in the strip down to 2.9 million, those things were cut out.
Mhm.
Now, what we're gonna be recommending is putting all of that outside work, because it's not just for us, this pickup back here for Ben Franklin. That's still gonna continue. So there were issues back here anyway, we just bumped into them more now based on parent pickup, walking pickup that comes to close to the playground on this side. So the work that, at not to exceed 2.5 million, that we would put back in is this outside work, including lights, which are critical, and there's a lot of cars that park over there even right now. But ample space on either side of the building. So, sorry, go ahead,
No, that's,
Teresa.
so because that site work was deemed sort of a critical safety issue, the team took a look at, well, what needs to be in phase one to function as an office and keep the site safe and secure, and what could be identified to be put in phase two, which would come a few years from now, right, to be determined, that we would talk about. So if we look at the floor plan here that Caitlin has up, essentially at the end of phase two, the project would be complete as we previously presented. However, in looking at a phased approach, the green would be phase one. The offices that are in that area are the HR and the business services department, along with a handful of supporting conference space, storage, restrooms, and the main reception area to the district office, which includes the area where new families come to enroll. That would be the critical first phase work that would need to happen. There's also an area across the hall, which is an existing storage room for Ben Franklin, but we would need to create an IT closet in there that is serving the district office. There's a fire separation per code that needs to be done to separate the district office from the school, and that's all included in that green area. But it would largely mean the area in orange, which is existing physical therapy, OTPT spaces would remain as is until phase two would be complete.
If we could go back up to the green here, just wanted to point something out, so just as up here, the same sort of entry vestibule that we have would be identical. This would be the waiting area, this would be the secure glass, this would be the conference room, just like we have now, so when people come to enroll and all these sorts of things, that's where. But bigger, because we have one right now. And then another conference room, which we have right now, right, for that space. So all of these things are recreated, secure entry, all the public facing aspects of a district office would be part of a not to exceed 2.5 million, all right? All the public facing pieces.
And Caitlin, if you could scroll down to the other vestibule, the other part that would be included in the phase one is creating that secure vestibule on the other side, simply again, because you are introducing a district office into a school, and so that would also be done as part of the phase one. But the spaces in orange would then come in a second phase.
That would also help with that professional development room.
Could
I was
be
just in
used
there,
independently.
is gonna become this room. And it's already larger than this room,
As it sits right now.
as it sits right now.
There's already a conference room with like tables or
It's
like,
a,
so we can use it
Yep.
as it is.
it's already a professional development space that is used by curriculum. So I was just in there today, the team did a great job over break, because we had already planned for asbestos abatement to be completed when everybody was out. So that's all done already, in all of these spaces, phase one and phase two.
And then Caitlin, if you wanna, let's just look at the completion on the second PDF and then we can go back up to, yeah.
This one?
So, just a reminder, this is what that project would look like when it's fully complete. So again, the green is exactly the same, and then that orange area is the build out of the pupil services office, superintendent and assistant. Curriculum and learning is the big department that a lot of their offices are in that space now, but I know the district has a plan of where they would be located in the meantime, and then a kitchenette and 2 additional restrooms that would serve that portion of the building. So that's what would be coming in a phase 2. Do you guys want to talk a little bit about the interim?
Sure.
In between phase 1 and phase 2, where some of those offices would be?
Why don't you go up to the first picture? So when I was over there today, this is storage. These two rooms are connected and they're substantial rooms, right? I could see curriculum being here and we need to work through those details. I talked to Justin Goffard, who's the principal there at Ben Franklin. We had a good discussion today. This room is a nice size room, maybe for pupil services, Mr. Halverson. There's a side office here as well that's already built. Some stuff might need to be done there, but it's minor. There's an additional space at Ben Franklin that Mr. Goffard and I were talking about today on the first floor, which would provide ample room for all that we have now. So we wouldn't, that's where it comes from. These spaces are ready to go pretty quick. Meaning the only part of this zone that isn't ready to go like within a week would be in here. Because this zone and this zone is old PT, OT. There's tables and bathrooms in there in this zone and this zone. And then there's an exit door back in the day when this used to be a locker room. So some of those old vestiges of an old middle school are there. But everything else is usable space. We already use this for professional development. I mean, that's, it definitely needs some paint. But that they would have needed paint anyway. Like it's a pretty bad yellow in my opinion right now, but.
So those, let's just say room, the 3 rooms, those are like, what are they currently being used for?
Well,
Or what's, like,
okay,
what are they
so-
storage?
They're just storage.
So they were a lot of curriculum storage. It was a lot of curriculum storage. There was a room that's already been moved to a different part. I believe to an art room with clothes for people that need them.
Resource room.
The resource room. So that's already been moved to another part of Ben Franklin.
There
With
were
the
no
help-
people, there were no people
Yeah.
working back
No.
there.
What were they designed as?
It
Were
was-
they classrooms at one time, or what were they for?
I think it was a large special ed suite.
I
think it was,
each of them has got like water in there,
where the
like there's sinks.
21-year-old kids were in there
Oh,
Okay.
originally, I think that's what it was.
Oh, like a
18, 21-year-old
transition?
kids,
Yeah. So there's sinks in
There
there.
was a working kitchen in there as well.
There's drywall. I mean, these places they're in good space. We're happy to tour. If you wanna set it up, obviously outside of the meeting, we're happy to take you through and show it. I was walking through there today. This side over here, that was phase 2, it's operational pretty quick. There's some things that need to be done because we just did asbestos abatement, but,
So you put like cubicles in there, or like
Absolutely.
you're gonna move some of the, obviously the furniture from
Absolutely.
here, and you're gonna set these rooms up so that everybody kind of has their own defined space or whatever.
Absolutely. So all the cubicles up here, when you walk into district office, those are all ours. Ironically today, the architects working for the village, we're in laser measuring again today.
great. It's great when somebody just walks into your office while you're working and they start,
Their
going on tape
metaphors.
measure. Makes you feel real
If the
important.
village is listening, we're great partners, but maybe a little bit more notice than 1 minute. But they did great, they're doing great. So I bring that up because these spaces are already defined, they're ready to find classrooms, and the first 2 are relatively large and connected via a door, right? The next one is smaller. I was in there with a custodian that happened to be working in the area, so we kind of walked it off. The room closest to professional development is clearly the smallest, there's no question. But that space, either for student
Put Dan in
service,
there.
student services.
You can have the big bathroom.
I know you would agree,
Plenty
that's
of
why I'm
room for
laughing.
a nest
Good right
and a
there,
potty.
so there you go.
So from,
Love you, Dan.
it kind of, it really helped to be able to walk the site today and then actually talking to Justin, because he's been a great partner, he's an excellent principal, and he has a really good handle on the function of Ben Franklin. I believe this is doable, and it gets us, and I'll say this again at the board meeting on Monday, it gets us back to the annual meeting. Maybe the state figures themselves out with all this surplus money they have, I think that's nice, I'm not, right? Isn't that nice, the way I said that?
Yes, it's nice what you
So
say,
Thank you.
but don't hold your breath since 2009.
Does phase two include like any phone lines, internet lines, like that stuff?
I think
Because
there are some phone lines in there.
I feel like these are rooms that have like one telephone in it. And so then like if we have 6 people sharing that space, do they have,
So that would be phase.
Yeah, I set an
phase one
8:15
would be-
impromptu meeting tomorrow morning with a couple people sitting at this table, along with Katie Welke,
Yeah.
Caitlin, Joel, myself, Halverson, and Justin Gofford,
okay,
in order to kind of work through a couple of those particulars.
cause like it doesn't have to be pretty.
No, I
Like
get
it
it,
can be coming from the ceiling, you know, but.
I get it.
The IT closet is located over there too,
Yep.
so it's easy enough to drop.
So this is a change, and this is an important,
Yeah, what is in the storage and IT closet right now?
it's storage right now.
It's Ben Franklin's.
So right now, it's storage for
Some of it's rec
Jason,
It's rec
storage,
storage.
community
Oh.
ed and rec.
It's actually rec storage.
So, yeah, it is rec storage. So it's we brought Jason over because we couldn't figure it out either. But really, it's volleyball nets for community ed and rec. And, you know,
Does BF use them too though?
no,
Not the
we
light
checked it, we
ones.
thought maybe. But we had
Those are
Jason,
too small.
They can't play volleyball.
we had Jason there with Justin Gofford and no, that's his community ed and rec. And then storage. So this will become the IT closet, which is needed in order to do everything on the other side and whatever on this side. And it'll stay storage, which is good. So that's the only tweak.
Stay storage for CE and rec?
Yes.
Yep, absolutely. Cause there's a lot of storage if you scroll up to the green. When I was walking in this zone, actually, this doesn't show, oh, I'm sorry, not the green, down here, yeah, right here. Scroll up a little bit, thank you. This zone here, this is massive storage. And there's already storage shelves in there. I was in there taking pictures of them today. So curriculum, they're gonna have a need for that. I mean, it makes sense for the short term to do that sort of thing, but there's ample space for what we wanna do, and it's already constructed. We don't have to, we were just gonna change it and open it up, and obviously it wasn't created to be a district office. But doors are closable. You know, I had to key into every door. So when I was walking through all of those zones, you know, I had my master key for the district, and I had to key into every single one of them. And,
You can key it accordingly too.
Yeah.
In-house, we can change key at any time.
yeah, so just, I think that gives the context.
The other
Teresa?
part,
Yeah.
sorry, the other part there is in that 2.59 is updating the fire alarm system and all of those.
Yes, we didn't talk about that.
Yep.
That needs to stay in. So it's about $400,000 of the not to exceed 2.5 is updating the entire fire system for the whole BF. If you'll recall, board members, we bumped into that, and that needs to happen. So that's that's a big must-have. So a part of the outside scape work, for me, the big must-have is, we do have a water problem back there. You know, there's standing water out there today.
I've walked through those puddles.
Yeah, you know, and some of that is creating issues when parents are picking up, so think whole building. We're gonna continue to have parents pick up their students, but part of that scape connect is making sure there's walkways and access points when parents are doing that, parking their car and picking up their students from the lot, which is already happening. We're gonna improve that, which wouldn't be able to happen in the $2.9 million actually aspect.
One more thing too, with the 2.5 is that the lights for the parking lot are in, so there is that other safety factor at leaving in dark time. The nighttime from that office if the lights are part of that cost.
Anything else, Teresa?
Yeah, I can talk about approvals and what's been approved so far, because we've gotta go back and redo some things, but real quick, I do just wanna mention, you know, the spaces that exist currently are certainly suitable for those district office workers to relocate temporarily for, you know, that year, 2 years, whatever it may be before we're able to do phase two. But certainly, you know, when we approach this project, the district is looking for a 30-50 year solution, right? Like this is their home now. And so as a long-term solution, we would certainly want that phase 2 moving forward so that those offices have the appropriate acoustical privacy and access to daylight. You don't wanna be that person stuck in a room without daylight for, 9+ hours a day. And so, the district will have to, you guys will have to look at how you can chip away at being able to get to phase 2. And that also comes into play as it relates to approvals. So currently, the village has, the architectural
Just
control board has.
Put a pause on approvals and then we'll go to approvals in a second. So, Teresa is kind of mentioning the capital improvement plan without saying capital improvement plan. So phase 2 gets put into the capital improvement plan, and the board, this committee, would determine at a future meeting, not today, where things go. Because there are other things that are a priority before that.
I have a clarifying question.
Yes,
So on the first page of this that we're on right now, for example, like there's a green section and an orange section. But then if you go to the second page, some of the things are relabeled something different, but it's still green. So like where it says like in 3, in 2,
Oh,
or
I'm sorry, those lines right there are an overlay from the civil site plan that was overlaid on this just so you could see that the site work was a priority.
okay, I just was like, what does that mean?
That
Or
is my Bluebeam capabilities, I
Oh.
just.
okay, no big deal. And then like mother's room, is that phase 1, phase 2?
So, what
Okay.
Good
we've
question.
discovered is so if you look at the first page, the IT closet only needs to be moved once. And so the IT closet is going to be relocated to that location.
Here, this is where.
Yes, previously in.
That's where it's going.
Yes.
Yes,
Oh.
previously in a complete plan, the mother's room had been located there. However, we're gonna
Okay.
swap those two.
And
So the
because the IT was in the middle of, like, there's a bathroom
Yeah.
there and an IT
Oh.
closet.
And it wasn't best use of dollars to build the IT room in the middle of that space.
it's better to use that
And-
big space
Okay.
for our transitional
makes more
folks.
Okay.
So the lack of, again, as David mentioned, the speed of changing and updating
Yeah.
the numbers and updating the drawings haven't officially been updated.
good.
But in this option, the discrepancy is where it says mother's room would still be the IT room.
Okay.
And where it says IT room, janitor's closet, that will be the mother's room.
So they're sort of switching. This is IT and JC, Janitor's
And that was just
closet.
clarified today and the drawings just haven't been updated.
Yeah, and this was a way for us to maintain maximum square footage of workspace in those first 2 rooms, the first room being the biggest by far.
Does the phase 1 with this $2.5 million plan keep all of the reductions that were on the?
No,
No, so like we would do like the
Totally
side
separate.
lights and the bathrooms, no.
so that's an important, it's an important distinction that we're moving on to those
Phases.
outside elements in just the phase 1 of the project. Going to the phase 1 only of the project allows us to clearly establish the public facing parts in a way that also addresses safety, lighting, the flooding issues, things that are an existing issue, plus the fire system, which had to stay in. That's $400,000 alone, just on the one item. That's first. And so, does that help?
Yeah, so like we would like, you're gonna do the side lighting and the bathroom tile and.
And the
Canopy.
But less bathrooms
Less
now, so like.
the
First phase,
canopy
less
will be there,
Yeah,
but part of the
less bathrooms,
reconstruct
less everything.
was pulling money out of the massive and establishing a canopy similar to what most schools have
So it's.
when they come in.
Okay.
Yeah, part of the reductions of $160,000 was the entire canopy removal. Now the canopy is going back, but it had a smaller canopy, so there's gonna be some cost savings with that already.
We'd already got approval from the village to have a separate address that was created for us. So that's already been completed and done, so we're ready with that. Why don't we move to approvals?
Sure,
Thank you
yeah.
for the interruption, for allowing me to interrupt.
Yeah, So there's a couple of different approvals that are in process or have already happened. So one of the ones is the Village of Menominee Falls Architectural Control Board approves any exterior changes, additions, renovations. So they approved this
Oh,
the Monday before Thanksgiving. And at that point, we had just started to hear rumblings of what was happening at the state, and I think we were kind of aware, like, oh, there might be some state budget issues, so.
So, and I'll say, that was, at the end of November was when we heard about the state special ed reimbursement rate. The end of November, for the current year. And a ripple effect.
Which was a month after the Architectural Control Board met, right?
Well, it was that day, it was right before Thanksgiving, so it was the very end of
Thanksgiving.
November. And it was that day you guys had kind of gotten rumbles and you're like, we don't know what this is gonna impact yet. So at the Architectural Control Board, we made a comment, hey, we're kind of worried this canopy might need to be smaller, we might have some budget concerns. Oh, well, they were concerned that that would be a shame and they wouldn't wanna see a smaller canopy, but it's what it is, right? So we will have to go back to the village for architectural review for the smaller canopy.
well, thank you.
The other site, or the other approval at the village is the site approval for the stormwater work, but that happens in-house, it's just the admin review, so that kind of happens back and forth via email, so no concerns there. The other big review is the state of Wisconsin building plan review, which we need for the building inspector of Menominee Falls to issue a building permit. So we submitted the plans the Tuesday before Thanksgiving to the state of Wisconsin. We have an appointment for our plans to be reviewed on January 20th as originally shown. We're going to, we have a plan date for the 20th. We have, we're going to submit an exhibit showing the phase. Essentially, this is phase 1, this is phase 2, and aren't currently anticipating any issues with that, but state plan review is at the mercy of the plan reviewer, and so we will have an update on that. But once that plan review is approved, then the building inspector of Menominee Falls gets copied on that, and we'd be able to pull a building permit. So
just to restate for the board, on the 20th of January, we have state plan review. And then we need to go back to the Architectural Control Board, correct?
yes,
And then there's a outside work, in-house sort of approval.
yes, for the stormwater site.
Stormwater, sorry.
So does this shift then the projected time of things, or?
I know construction was hoping to start mid-January, however, with the late, even
Right.
prior to the budget issues, the late plan review appointment impacted that slightly. I guess I'll let you guys talk about construction schedule.
Yeah, the original budget included a 4-month project, fully complete 10,000 square feet or just under 11,000 square feet of the project. So, there's a huge caveat, obviously, with the state approval at the end of January, 120. But we're gonna need to put this project back out to bid. So we're gonna, there's some work that needs to happen from EUA for us. They're gonna be updating some documents to kind of outline phase 1, phase 2, so we can kind of get some updated pricing from subcontractors and then scope them out. And we would be projecting, coming back to the school board at the first board meeting in March. So that's ideally what we're talking about, and then that would mean, initially we thought of starting the 3rd week of January, so we would be starting the 3rd or towards the end of March, beginning of April. There's a lot of items that we will talk internally as a team of how we can pre-purchase long lead time items as we're going through this process. Everything is kind of real time. So make sure that we're using all the time that we have to get the district in, because I know there's a sunset here to being out of the current village hall. But original scope was 4 months. there's less scope, but we're gonna be still, even though we're not doing phase two work, we're still gonna be in the phase two area, cause we're gonna need to be, as David said earlier, about, there's abatement done, so we're gonna need to patch some walls, paint some walls, and get things freshened up in the phase two area. So we will be touching a lot of the area, but not fully building walls and ceilings and doing all the finishes. So what I can tell you right now, as I sit here right now, is it's gonna be under 4 months, but but there's a lot of what ifs right now. Ideally for us right now, our plan is to come back to the board with recommendations, the first board meeting in March. And then if everything goes good, like we're projecting right now, that we're under the 2.5 threshold, we will get going at the end of March.
And I intentionally didn't put the pictures that I took today, we've already started. I mean, if you were to walk in there right now, you see Joel over there shaking his head, that the entire green part of this has been, I don't wanna say gutted, but if you walked in there, you can see that it's already started with the abatement and heavily had to do stuff on this side, the green part. I was just there, there's already been a start. It's gonna be a tight timeline, but I believe it's the right financial move for the district regardless of the time. So we'll work out the details of opening up and making sure that we have, what we need to start. But I believe it's the right financial move to backfill questionable state financing with our own dollars in this way. I think it's the right move.
So to clarify, to make sure I understand it, this one was like when you guys met in December and we're like, okay, let's look at the full project, what could we take out? And you realized there was about $1 million that could be taken out. Then you were like, wait, we need to take out more. So that's when we went into phase 1, phase 2. So phase 1 reduces this by $1.5 million.
Yeah, most of that's right.
Total.
The first part was when we went out to bid, when we took this out to bid, there was already about almost $500,000 in reductions based on the bids that came back. So we were already at $451,000 and change to the
Lower.
Positive, lower. That was the first move. The second move was working over break, and which was great, and it's very appreciated. That got us to 2.9 million. And then after that, and that was those were tough meetings.
Yeah.
And I admit they were tough meetings, and but this is me looking at this going, I was the one going, I need 1.5 million. Because those are the dollars that we were shorted and that we need to find. And that was my push and advocation, and that's what brought us to the phase 1, phase 2 aspect of the project. All right, which is at not to exceed 2.5 million.
Because you couldn't get there, this was
Doing
like,
these
you couldn't,
little,
100%, you could not get that extra 1.5.
Yeah.
I appreciate that
And
work.
a lot of it was, there's not a lot to strip, right? Like
Right.
it's
Right.
there's not a lot of
It's
fluff.
part of the exercise to see how far we can get with it.
Yep,
And then we're at the point that we needed to reduce square footage,
Yep.
which then thus came in the phase 1, phase 2 aspect.
400,000 is the fire stuff, I mean,
Right.
and then
Right.
how much is this parking lot, all this stuff?
We don't know that yet, I don't think.
Of the breakout of the parking lot?
Yeah.
I mean, we have some values of the original, like the landscaping was over $11,000. The site lighting, those light poles were 61,000. The drainage that we just talked about is probably about $100,000 for the drainage. So, I mean, that's, and then the concrete sidewalk and patching of the asphalt is say another 30,000, so it's $200,000 to $300,000.
Yeah.
I mean, it's, and that's where it's forward facing, right, to the public, so that's what the team thought that needed to be done in addition to the fire alarm, in addition to, how can you maximize the $2.5 million?
When you talk about the public coming to the district office, they're coming to the secure door, they're enrolling they're using that conference room,
Mhm.
they're coming in a secure waiting area, they're meeting with the business office, they're meeting with HR, they're using the spaces that we're recreating. I'm not saying that I don't meet with the public, of course I do, and so does Mr. Halverson, but those are more scheduled meetings.
Mhm.
You know, and same with curriculum, you know, they're more scheduled meetings.
Are you
So-
gonna be meeting with those people, either new employees or new, or families? Are you gonna use like the conference room instead of your
This was the
orange
intention of
space? Yeah.
that,
like
right,
new enrollments,
That
Right.
was
this-
always the purpose of
Yeah.
those rooms.
But I mean, like, you, David, and you, Halverson.
Yeah.
If you guys were gonna meet with somebody instead of hauling them back into the orange
The
area,
basement.
you're gonna do that in the green.
dark
in the green.
actually, no, yeah, and we do that right now.
Yeah.
So when, like, we have meetings in here all the time. Like, usually when we're like, for example, drafting policies with an outside Neola or whoever, and we're bringing in multiple people, we'll meet in here. You know, most of the time, you know, we're having meetings in here. And we would have that equivalent space there, plus another conference room. And obviously, we're in Ben Franklin as it is. And like I said, great conversations with Justin Gofford today. We have a walk around tomorrow morning, pretty early. Thank you for those coming.
So, quick question, just an idea popped in my head, but is the landscaping staying as is, or is that scaled back? Or is that gone?
That's dependent on village approval.
Okay.
There is landscaping requirements per the village
Oh.
that was
I have a
submitted.
question.
They did have
Yep.
some edits, they wanted some different
Like-
bushes
Oh.
used.
Yeah.
Okay.
So now when we
I'll-
go back and tell them we've had to take that out, they're,
I'll give an
they may
ex-
not
The only
I'm gonna give an
reason I
example, I'm gonna
asked-
give an example that
Okay.
will help. That, and I'll just use a real example, like there's bushes sometimes.
Yeah.
This is just, I've sat in these meetings. There's bushes sometimes the village wants to be here and this high and that tall. And I'll give an example from our project that we're just about to complete in the community center. There's usually screenings that you screen air conditioners and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Right, there's certain there's things like that that come up.
The same village that we gave a 4-year head start to.
They gave us $250,000 too, which will be backfilled into this project, so go ahead, Teresa, I'm sorry.
yeah, no, so you were
The
asking about
reason I
landscaping.
ask is because I don't know if this could be utilized as part of our, the sponsorship program, you know, that we're doing more for sports. But could a local landscaping business maybe wanna sponsor and plant there, you know, or is like, are those outlets open to us?
Certainly, we'd be open to,
Or
our
is
sponsorship
this more just
program,
for gyms?
no, our sponsorship program would cover something like that.
Okay.
If anybody listening
Hey.
runs we're happy to talk to anybody,
Has a green thumb.
I think this is the right move.
For sure, I just was,
Yes, the sponsorship program would, to answer your question, the sponsorship program can work that way. It's
Okay.
designed to have that flexibility.
okay,
But I do believe at the end of the day, this is the right move. It's not a move that we want to make, it's a move that we have to make
Yeah.
in my estimation, in my recommendation to the board. Other questions, comments? Alright,
thank you for all that work,
Yeah,
it's a
absolutely.
lot of planned, unplanned, right? Pre-planned.
we'll get it done.
Joys of public sector financing.
You guys need a home in a few months, so.
We're good. Alright, we'll make it work, thank you.
Being that there's no other discussions and questions, we'll move on to adjourning this meeting. I would need a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Got a motion?
Second.
Alright, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Alright, we are adjourned at 6:27.